Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, adults of all ages, welcome to the Sideshow.
And we are back.
We're back. So before we get into anything, I was just thinking, somebody commented somewhere on one of the multitude of platforms we're on and said, so there was a point where I noticed that I put on some weight. I've accepted it now. I'm okay with how I look. But there was a point where I was hiding my face behind the microphone just because seeing myself and my body dysmorphia was hard for me.
Right.
And there was a point in the video where you're like, so I would move and I explained I'm feeling insecure. And somebody tried to have an I got you moment in the comments. Was like, I knew you were insecure. I have cried on camera. I've never hid any of my flaws. I know I'm insecure. Other people seeing that I'm insecure makes them feel validated in a way, knowing that they're not the only ones who have body image issues.
Right.
I accept it. I'm eating kind of awful right now. My workouts are pretty on point because I'm sore and I'm noticing growth in my muscle, but I'm also aware I'm eating bread pudding often.
Right. But you know what? Even though you're eating bread pudding often, that
Yeah.
picture that you sent me in the gym this morning, your arms are getting defined. You can see your bicep when you flex in the mirror. You have veins starting to show through.
Yeah.
Being in shape and being contest shape are two different things.
Right.
Creators who are influencers, I hate that term, that stay super lean, shredded year round, do so because it's their job. They don't have a choice. That's how they make their income. We don't have to do that.
Right.
We can enjoy bread pudding and we can have pizza twice a week.
Right.
As long as our body fat or our body weight doesn't go past a certain point, and then when it does, we just diet for a week or two and get it back down, and we need to toe the line.
Right.
You being insecure and then sending me that so that I can see the fucking definition in your bicep shoulder separation and the vein photos that you sent me, you're not. Your weight might be going up, but so is your muscle mass.
Right.
And your body fat's coming down because when you flexed, I could see it.
Yeah.
So
Thank you. Me bringing that up was more of, I am insecure at times, but it's because of my body dysmorphia.
Right. Yeah.
I've been over 300 pounds. Right now I'm maintaining between 180 and 185.
Yeah.
My highest was 320.
You're also 5'10". I
I am 5'10". I'm an Amazonian.
And at least 10 pounds of that is the girls.
Yeah. I also have a dump truck of an ass. So
Yes, you do.
there's a lot of body fat going on. And that's in a good way.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
And I'm not hating on people who are fat. Just for me, that is how I am happy with the fat on my body.
Right.
Me bringing all of that up was for me to explain I am insecure at times. There are times where I think I'm the hottest shit in the room. Like, I'm a human being.
Right.
I am insecure on certain days, especially when my body dysmorphia is kicking and I notice your chin looks a little bit fatter today than it did a week ago, even though my weight hasn't fluctuated.
Right.
Those days are hard for me. So, yes, I am insecure at times.
Could you imagine how miserable you have to be on the internet to call people on that shit?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't-
How pathetic is your life?
Everybody's insecure.
Yeah.
You could go to Beyonce, and if you asked her, are there days where you feel insecure? I can guarantee you she will say yes. She sees all of her own flaws in her mind that she sees as flaws. To the world, she's perfect.
Yeah.
But I can guarantee she can look in the mirror and be like, I'm a little bit unhappy about this.
Right.
Even if it's an illogical thing to the rest of the world, everybody has their own flaws and their own insecurities. Mm-hmm. So you're not having an I got you moment. I don't think I'm perfect. I don't think I am the standard of beauty in the world. I am a human being and I have insecure days, as does everybody else in the world.
Yep.
That comment just shows that you're kind of not a good human being.
Ooh. I agree.
I just wanted to get that off my chest.
Okay. I damn.
What?
I just wasn't prepared for that when we sat down. Before we hit record, I was like, all right, do you have your email ready? And you're like, yep, I got it. And I hit record and I was checking this and you just went into that. And I was like, holy shit. I'm checking my phone because 6 hours ago, I posted a clip on TikTok about boundaries and
establishing them in a getting to know phase.
Right. But because of the way it's clipped, it very much sounds like I'm saying you can have a husband or you can have the bar.
Right.
But nobody ever wants to go and look at the podcast and figure out the full context of what's going on. They just want to comment on the clip and talk shit.
Right.
And the people who get it are going, he's not saying that he's insecure. He's saying that he has boundaries. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
And people are like, no, that's insecurity. It's controlling. You sound authoritative. And like, there's just all these negative comments. And all you have to do is go and watch that clip, or even the full video. I mean, that would be dope for us. But
Yeah.
if you just watch that conversation and understand that we are talking about people going on the first, second, or third date and having a conversation about what boundaries are or are not acceptable, you would get it. That video has almost 500,000 views in 6 hours.
That's crazy.
And there are people just ripping me apart in the comments. And there are people defending me in the comments going, you know how stupid you sound right now? He's talking about setting boundaries.
Yeah.
And it's okay for men to set boundaries just like it's okay for women to set boundaries.
100%.
And I have replied to 2 people at random. One had a bunch of comments in the thread. One didn't have any. And I responded to both of them. And I was like, so in the event that I go on a date with a woman and I'm on the second date, am I not allowed to say, if I'm going to be with you, I expect you to be monogamous?
Right.
Is that an unreasonable boundary?
No.
Right. So we're on the second date. And even if it was, and you did not want a monogamous relationship, you have the ability to go, that doesn't work for me. I don't want that. I want to see other people. And I can go, okay, cool. I'll finish dinner, pay for dinner.
Yeah.
Thank you for the date. If you ever need a friend, call me. This isn't going to work. That's the end of that shit.
And it doesn't make either of you a bad person.
No.
It doesn't mean somebody's in the wrong.
Right.
Everybody's entitled to their preference
Yep.
on how they want to live their life.
Right. So I hit the first person who had a bunch of comments, and she actually was like, thank you so much for being respectful because I didn't shit on her.
Right.
Second guy shit on a little bit. But when it comes down to it, it doesn't make anyone insecure or controlling to have the conversation about your boundaries when you are starting to date someone. If you don't have the hard conversations up front, you're going to be with somebody for a little while, and then those things are going to come out, and it's going to create conflict. I don't understand why it wouldn't even matter. It wouldn't matter what my boundary was. If I was like, you can never shave your armpits again on the second date, and you're like, that's not okay, then cool, we don't have to date.
Right.
That's not controlling.
It's not. And like you said, at that point, it's better to do it then than in 3 years.
Right.
To say, I know that we've been doing this the whole time we've been together, but I would prefer you to have really hairy armpits as a woman.
Yep.
And some women are okay with that. And there are other women, like me, I prefer to be hairless. If I can feel hair on my body, it makes me panic.
Right.
9 times out of 10, my hair's pulled up in a ponytail because I don't like it being in my face. Right. But today, I just felt I'm froggy today, whatever.
I was also called a narcissist because everybody wants to use that word, not understanding that it just means self-centered.
Yeah.
It means very about you. You know that when you get hungry and your stomach growls and you feed yourself, that's you feeding your narcissism.
Yeah.
Because you are taking care of yourself.
For survival.
Yeah. Because everyone on the planet has a hint of narcissism. There are extreme cases of narcissism, but everyone has narcissism. When you use that term in a sentence to me and it has not been diagnosed clinically,
it's just a buzzword.
it shows me that you don't know what the fuck you're talking about and you have no understanding of what narcissism actually is.
I agree with that.
I don't do the buzzword thing.
I know.
And the more we do these emails and the more I see TikTok, the more I realize how much I hate buzzwords, and it starts to grind at me.
Because they're learning it on the internet, nobody is fact-checking anything anymore.
Right.
It's just hive mind.
Yeah.
That's really
hive
all I
mind.
can think is.
That's it. It's hive mind.
It's hive mind. And when somebody outside of that hive mind is like, okay, well, here's the actual definition for what you're trying to say, and this is why you're wrong.
That's not how I meant it, though.
Right.
Yeah.
You're wrong because you don't follow along the mindset that me and these 20 other people have.
Yep.
Crazy. You ready for the email?
I am.
All right. So this one is called, "You're helping so much, I just need a little more." It's so crazy how I go down the line of your videos and they're all exactly what I'm dealing with at the time. I'm on your second podcast and you just spoke on comprehension versus communication.
Ooh.
And I needed that.
Yes, you did. We all need that shit from time to time.
Oh, yeah.
I put my phone down. It's distracting.
Now I have some questions about my own relationship because I feel like I'm in the wrong somewhere.
If you want answers to those questions, it'll be $25 per, and you can Cash App it. I'm just kidding. I don't even fucking have a Cash App. I do have Venmo.
Yeah.
We should do that. No, I'm just
Oh my God. I mean, we could. I'm 25 and my boyfriend is 33. We've been together almost 2 years and made the choice to move in together. He has
we just got a Patreon.
That's like what, 4 today?
Yeah, I'm going to do that every single time
Yeah.
because it's a very good way to go, hey guys, if you would like to support the channel, the best thing that you can do is go to our Patreon. We have a dope community over there of like-minded individuals who are paying to be there. So you're not going to get shit on. If you have questions or concerns or thoughts, you have people who are in the same spot or have been in the same spot that you are that are going to, gradually guide you and help you. What?
That was good.
Wasn't it?
That was really good. I was like, yeah, Patreon. And you're just doing the thing.
Second thing that you can do is give us a super thanks here on YouTube. That's also super dope because it does give us revenue so that we can continue to grow the podcast and buy new chairs and microphones and Chris new makeup if that's what she wants.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of new makeup.
So you are definitely supporting us in those aspects. And the third way, which is I think probably the most effective way, is to share this with somebody that you think might benefit from it.
Yeah.
Because if everyone shares this with 2 people, everyone eventually will hear our shit. So thank you. Welcome to my TED Talk.
That was good.
Or thank you for coming to my TED Talk because that's the end of the speech. I don't know.
I don't know. Either way, that was fantastic.
Yeah, I didn't even stutter it. I stuttered the end. I fucked the end up.
But you did good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Go team.
I'm 25 and my boyfriend is 33. We've been together almost 2 years and made the choice to move in together. He has his own everything, however he rents. I pay a mortgage, so the logical thing to do is move him and his son into my home with me and my 2 children.
That's absolutely the logical thing to do.
In the last few years, before we got together, I was a single mom for the first time in my children's life, which also turned into me being a one-income home at the same time.
There's nothing wrong with that.
In 2 years, I've accumulated $20,000 worth of debt and credit cards
Ooh.
and loans.
That's the problem.
I want to say it was all for bills, but I like to shop.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen.
Today, after a year and a half together, I gave my boyfriend a breakdown of my debt. He's very blunt to the point we've separated for how he says things to me. I asked him to lead me in this because he's a very good leader as a man, and I feel like it blew up in my face.
Can we pause? That very blunt man is his communication style.
Yeah.
It's not malicious, and you need to understand that. That's how he talks. He's lived his entire life talking that way. So you can't expect him to change his communication patterns to suit your needs. He will have to learn eventually to sugarcoat things to
Right.
not affect you that way. But you cannot take those things personal.
Yeah. I've had to learn to do that.
Right. I can be very, very matter of fact.
Even in times when you're frustrated.
Yeah.
Like, in points where I know you're frustrated, I've had to learn to take a step back, because if you're looking at something on your phone and you're frustrated and I ask you a question and you answer me in a frustrated tone, I have to understand he's answering my question, but his frustration is directed toward whatever's on his phone.
I am super guilty at that.
Yeah. So it doesn't offend me.
Yeah.
Like, I appreciate you taking the time in that moment to answer my question.
Yeah.
Even if I didn't know you were frustrated. I know you're not frustrated with me. You're just frustrated with whatever the situation is you're handling.
My brain operates with like 15 to 20 tabs open at all times.
Oh, yeah.
So sometimes shit bleeds over.
So definitely you have to take a step back and remove your emotional side on things.
It's good that you can realize that.
Me?
Yep. That was a very, very good thing to hear.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I really don't ever take anything super personal with you. That text message was a perfect example. Like, if you would have called me and said, like, hey, where are you at? I wouldn't have been able to notice your frustration. And when I know immediately you're not frustrated when you're calling me because of something I did.
How crazy is it that our scenarios are so few and far between that we don't even have to talk about it? You just said that text message and I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's wild.
That is really crazy.
Yep.
Wow.
Go team.
We have such a peaceful relationship.
We really do.
I really appreciate you. Thank you for being who you are as a person.
You make me blush.
Good. It's actually happening. I appreciate it.
Oh. Dick.
Okay. He's my favorite person, guys. He said it feels like I lied to him because I sugarcoated how deep in a hole I really am.
There's a difference between a lie and deception. And deception is so much worse.
Yeah, if you actively avoided telling him how much your debt was because you're worried about his reaction, that's deception.
Yeah, and there's some truth there, but not enough to be honest.
Yeah.
Yep.
He says that now he's scared to move in with me and uproot his own life because I can't manage money. Mind you, at 23, I bought a house. 24, I bought a new car. I wasn't always in debt and worked hard to have established credit, but life happened. He's very upset with me, and I expressed to him that I'm willing to do whatever I need to get out of this hole.
Can we pause again?
Yes.
Just because you own a house and a car doesn't mean that you're not financially responsible.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you're good with money.
Right. And because you did something years ago or you did something 6 months ago compared to what you're doing right now, actions speak.
Yeah.
You have that debt. So regardless of having your own house and your new car, that doesn't mean shit if you still have all that debt on top of it.
Right.
So it's a valid thing for him to feel the way that he feels. And when you marry somebody, and we've talked about this because your credit was a fucking mess when we started dating.
Yeah, I had a lot of debt when we started dating.
Had we got married before we started fixing your credit, it would have affected me.
Right.
My cars, my house, businesses.
I was about to say your
future
businesses.
rentals, anything, because our credit is our credit.
Yeah.
Anything that I put you on would affect, at the time I had like an 810 credit score.
Yeah.
So that would absolutely affect, but now your credits come way up. Mine's come down a bit because we've been paying a lot of shit, but credit's revolving. You know what I mean? That's being a business owner and being successful is just moving money from one thing to another. Stop spending your money and pay your fucking debt off.
Right. I had a credit score of almost 800. I was like 780 around there. And then I got into a relationship where things financially were bad, so I had to put everything on a card, and I racked up my credit. My credit score went to shit.
Right. That's the whole point of having credit, though. It's
Right.
for emergencies.
But you knew about that debt before anything serious happened with us.
Yeah, absolutely. You were very transparent about that. It's no different than setting boundaries. We were very clear with everything.
Right. So if you told him I have some debt,
Right.
but you weren't clear on the number, if you would have been upfront about that, he would have been like, okay, dope. Here are solutions for that.
Yep.
Now, if you were dodging that question and trying to make it seem like it wasn't as bad as it was, and you're only about $3,000 in debt versus $20,000 in debt, I would be a little bit standoffish too.
Right.
Because that's not just a discrepancy, that's a massive discrepancy.
You also need to keep in mind, too, that if you can't afford to buy it in cash, you can't afford it.
Right. I started living by that when I was like 22 or 23.
Right.
Like I had dug myself into such a deep hole. I recognized if I can't pay $20 for pizza on cash, I can't put it on a credit card.
Right. Because now all you're doing is going to pay the interest.
Right.
You're not making payments to pay it down. And even if you do, if you pay $500 a month on a $400 a month credit card payment, that $100 will take you forever to pay that debt off.
Right.
People are they're very irresponsible when it comes to credit cards. And that's how the creditors get you.
Yeah.
Because you're stuck paying that interest rate forever for something that you could have bought for a quarter of the price, and just if you would have just waited 2 months and saved your money.
Right.
It's that instant gratification era. It's getting worse because of social media and fucking cell phones and shit.
Even if it means letting him manage all the funds, which I've never had anyone do for me. He also wants to be on the mortgage to my home. I agreed to all of that.
Whoa, wait.
Yeah, no, that makes me uncomfortable.
Are you getting married?
No, they are just moving in together.
Right, but if they are getting married, that's a different conversation. If they've had talks of getting married, and this is a step to them doing that,
Yes.
then what he's asking for is not that big of a deal.
Right, but if they're just boyfriend and girlfriend, and he was like, there's never been mention of marriage, you're taking it further than that.
Right.
And he says, just for me to feel comfortable, I need to be on the mortgage to your house. That's a no-go for me.
Right, I agree.
That is putting my children's safety or sense of security at jeopardy. I'm not doing
Yeah,
that.
I mean, I guess it can be, but if he's already got his own shit and she's asking him to move in and help her get out of debt and do all of this, and they've had the marriage talk, it's not that big of a deal.
Right.
And even without the marriage talk, there, I don't know. I feel like there should still be some sort of an agreement had, like a contractual agreement if he gets put on the mortgage, but he's taking a huge risk by moving in there.
Right. My point was if they haven't discussed marriage or anything, and that's not even like a talking point they've had, and he wants to be on the mortgage, that's a red flag to me.
Well, here's another devil's advocate look at that. If he gets on the mortgage and he's part of that and he's on the deed to the house and he spends $40,000 or $20,000 or whatever it was and then starts making mortgage payments and he's living there and helping her out, there's a security in that. If she ever sells the house and she turns a profit, he can then take his money because he would get half of it.
That's a good point.
So there's always an angle to look at.
Yeah.
There's not enough conversation there for me to really make a thing, but hearing that right off rip, my first reaction is like, ugh.
Yeah.
But she's also in a shit ton of debt. And
Right.
like the businessman in me is going to want to make sure that I'm going to get my money back if things fall apart.
Right. That's a really good point. I didn't think of it from that point of view. My point of view was like,
He could take the house from her.
he could take the house
Right.
from her.
That was
yeah.
my initial thought too. But the more I process, there's a lot there that makes sense, but I don't know the context behind all of it. So
Yeah.
I can what if all day.
Now he's saying that this will affect us in 2 years when I'm out of nursing school when it comes to buying a new and bigger house for our combined families, as well as any type of credit to fall on for emergencies.
It will. It sounds like they've had marriage discussions.
Yeah.
That you've had to have had marriage discussions for it to have gone this far.
Right. So I do agree with him. In 2 years, it takes a very long time to build your credit back up.
Not really. If she has credit cards, so let's say that she's got 30 to, well, she's at 20,000 in debt.
Right.
Let's say she's only used half, and she's at 40,000 in total available credit. She's used 20. She's got 20,000 available. Half of her credit is used up. It's going to dip down her credit. But as they pay that credit down and she's continuing to make those payments, when those cards get to zero, her credit will shoot up 40, 50, 60 points like that.
Yeah.
And she's got a mortgage. As long as she's not behind on her mortgage payment, that's going to help her credit along. There's a lot. And she's got a new car. It doesn't take much. When you neglect your credit and things fall behind and you stop making the payments, and that debt is now going to debt collectors or creditors, that's when things are very hard to reestablish. My credit can drop 200 points in the matter of 3 months based off the way I use my credit cards.
Right.
But as soon as I pay my credits off to zero, within a month and a half, it's right back up to where it was.
Yeah. So do you think he's overreacting?
No, I don't. Not even a little bit. But I also am very business minded, and I do financing shit with the way that we live our lives. And like, dude, we just got 3 emails back to back to back.
Wow.
The way that I view this entire scenario is he's looking long term, and in a long term scenario, if you guys are getting married and you're going to buy a house and his credit's 750 and yours is 500, your interest rates are going to be significantly higher than if you were both at 750,
Right.
or 750 to 800. And that matters. You know what I mean? And the difference in a credit score or a credit interest rate could truly be the difference of $500 to $1,500 a month in a mortgage payment. And with the way the interest rates are right now, interest rates are high as shit right now.
Yeah.
You know, last year at this time, people were getting 2 to 4% interest. Now it's like, 9 to 12. So if you get a $300,000 loan and you have a 10% interest, you have $30,000 in interest that you're paying to the mortgage company. It's a lot.
It is a lot.
So, and they're going to get their money before you really start making a dent in your mortgage.
So I wasn't ignoring you. I was going back to this. So, because you said they've had to have the marriage discussions to be talking about getting a new house and all these kinds of things, right? So I went back to read a couple of things before I started verbalizing my thought. So she said they've been together for almost 2 years. She said, before we got together, I was a single mom. I want to pay bills, but I like to shop. So in 2 years, she accumulated $20,000. So before they got together, she was a single mom for the first time. How long was she a single mom for? How long did it take her to accumulate that $20,000 in debt?
Right.
Because it said 2 years, but they've been together for 2 years. So were you spending this money while you're together with him?
Right, but they don't live together.
Right.
And when you buy a house, you got to furnish your shit.
Right.
So a lot of that could be purchases for the home, upgrades, things like that.
Okay, so that makes sense because she bought the house at 23, took 2 years to accumulate. In that 2 years, she accumulated $20,000 and she's 25 now.
Right.
So they've been together a year and a half into the relationship. She gives a full breakdown of the debt. So if you guys have already been discussing marriage and you're talking about making things super solidified, if we're talking about marriage, say for 6 months, and like we are dead set on this, and then you come to me and say, I have $20,000 in debt I've never told you about, I would definitely take a step back and be like, why did you keep this from me?
Right, because it's going to change your plans moving forward.
Right. That alters everything.
I know that they've talked about marriage because they've talked about buying a house together, which makes more sense for him to be on her current mortgage if they move in together, because you are combining 2 incomes to one payment instead of, a rental and a mortgage. The mortgage should be cheaper. But if they sell that house and whatever she's put into it over the last 2 years is going to be used as a down payment, I'm assuming she's got equity in her home. Yeah. There's just a lot there. This is why we tell people we need a lot of detail in these emails, because, that shit's, it matters.
It does. And, if they've already discussed marriage, they must have already discussed debt.
Well, they should have at some point.
Right. So in those conversations where you're talking about marriage and how the debt's going to be handled, you had every opportunity to say, this is how bad my debt is.
Yeah.
And if that's not what you did and you just kind of dance around in those discussions of marriage in the future, that is deception.
Yep.
He says, oh no, I was right. He says this will fall on him, and he's not sure he wants to have that responsibility since he's established and worked to resolve any financial issues he may have had. In my mind, I can pay this off with dedication and cut spending habits, which I've already done as of this evening, such as Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon Prime.
Which is nothing.
It really is nothing in the grand scheme of things. I mean, those are good steps to show you're serious about it. Right, but that's not even $100. But it's not. Small things, but I want him to know I'm serious. We're 2 months or so away from this move, and I'm scared he's backing out and there's nothing I can do to change his mind. I want to do better and prove him wrong, and alone I know he's logical, but I can't bring myself to, as you guys said, put emotions aside to comprehend what he's saying in the moment. I want to convince him and be with him every day that I can be in a home together. We're communicating and I hear him, but it feels like I don't want to because I'm scared plans will change. What can I do besides show I'm paying my debts and won't allow him I won't allow him to carry my burdens? That last sentence was really hard for me.
Well, first, he is going to be carrying your burdens.
He is, yeah.
Because you've racked up $20,000 worth of debt that you haven't paid off. If you could pay that off in 6 months, if you could pay that off in 6 months, that would show him a lot, because within 2 months, when you guys are supposed to be moving in, you can be like, look, I've paid off $10,000 or $6,000 worth of this debt.
Right.
I'm chipping away at it. Having you here is going to help us relieve that. And then with you handling the finances while we're together, moving into that next house, you'll be the one that's in charge of all of this. It won't be your burden. You'll be handling the finances.
Right.
You may have to give a little bit of control for that to be a thing. And if you can't do that, that might be a problem.
Right.
But his fears are warranted.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Especially because he may be giving up his financial security in his life and taking on a bunch of your problems. And then what happens if he moves in and you don't give up control of the finances and continue to spend, and now you're spending some of his money too, or his financial security is gone because he has to make up for what you're spending to cover the bills.
Right.
There's a whole lot of drama there, or potential drama there. You need to validate his concerns. You need to be like, look, I realize that me not telling you this is a concern for you. I've cut these things out. I am trying really hard moving forward to make sure that I'm going to take care of this debt because this is the life I want. And if that means giving up the finances to you and putting you on the mortgage so that when we sell this house and get another house together, we can do that. You need to talk the actual marriage game and find out if that's in the cards for you two. You guys got a lot of shit to figure out.
Yeah.
But none of this is going to get resolved unless you are completely honest and listen to each other and get over the fact that he's brash. He has, you know what I mean? Like in the event that he's actually being a dick, it's because you deceived him.
Yeah. You know, I also just realized. So she said, I told him today, after a year and a half together, she finally gave him the breakdown. They are 2 months away from moving in with each other.
Right.
So if they planned 6 months ago to move in, you waited 4 months to tell him, hey, I know we're 2 months away from actually getting really serious together. I have $20,000 in debt.
Right.
That would definitely like shatter my perception of what our reality is.
Right, because you think something is one way and then it turns out to not be. And with that mental mindset, or the mental mindset, obviously, in that mentality of I was deceived, there's going to be a whole lot of fear. What else are they hiding?
Right.
How do I know that I'm going to move in there and this is going to be the way that it was presented to me? How do I know she's going to actually follow through? Yeah. Because this was hidden.
You really have to be upfront and honest about everything, because eventually somebody's going to find out.
Yeah. Yep. She always comes out.
There is going to be a circumstance where things line up and there is nothing else you can do but tell them the truth.
Right.
Do it in the beginning. I agree with everything you said. She is going to just have to, actions are going to have to prove it.
Yep.
You know, if you're already making the minimum payments, you just cut a bunch of streaming services. Make the minimum payment plus extra. It
needs to be more than that anyways. Starbucks needs to stop. If you have a house line for your cell phone, or instead of a cell phone, you cut the house line. All of your frivolous spending, if it's not necessities.
Yeah.
I got to be honest. If we were in a position where I knew that we had that kind of debt and I wasn't able to pay that off in 2 or 3 months, we're not doing DoorDash.
Right.
I'm not Instacarting. We're not doing Netflix. I will cancel every subscription service I have, and I'm eating ramen.
Yeah.
I'm going to eat nothing but straight, gross, disgusting 32 cents a pack carbs until my debt's caught back up. And if it wasn't the two of us and it was just me and I lived in an apartment, I'd go live in my fucking car.
Yeah.
I'm just that guy. You know what I mean? There's a kid involved in that scenario. There's obviously different things happening there, but I'm willing to go to extremes.
Yeah.
I just am. I will cut out all kinds of shit to get to where I need to go. And that might be one of those things you need to really consider. You got a lot of frivolous spending. There are ways to save money. I mean, it would suck to not have a cell phone. You know, it's kind of a necessity in life, but if that's $100 a month bill that you're paying, that's, it's. You
could also downgrade your cell phone.
Right. Yeah. Don't buy a new one when the new one drops. A lot of shit. Whole lot of shit.
Well, I don't have anything to add.
Me either.
Are we done with that?
Yep.
You want to do another one?
Yep.
Help me communicate. Hello, and thank you for taking the time to read this. Backstory. I am almost 2 years out of my divorce and have been through a lot of therapy as he was a covert narcissist. I was very beat down and lived for the love bombing. It took me 15 years to finally leave after multiple affairs. He was not the typical abusive, and we worked very well at co-parenting. He did not have the desire to fight me for our daughter and allowed and helped me to move 700 miles away. This also left me 700 miles from any friends or family.
Can you back up a little bit, please, and read that part again?
He was not the typical abusive.
This is the narcissist?
Yes.
That helped her move 700 miles away?
Right.
So somebody that's super self-centered, that's a covert narcissist, helped you do something? Right. By definition, that makes him not a narcissist.
Right.
In the way that narcissists are used.
Yeah.
Narcissist means that he's self-centered.
Right.
So for all of you who like to throw that word around, that's what it means. It means you're self-centered. You're self-serving. You're doing for you. You are selfish. Moving somebody 700 miles away is not a selfish act. I fucking hate that term.
Right. So she moved 700 miles away and he did not move with them.
Right.
Narcissists will not help you do something unless it benefits them. They will only do something if it benefits them.
Self-serving.
Right. Was he a diagnosed narcissist?
No, it's just a term that everybody likes to throw around because it's
right.
A buzzword.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if he was actually diagnosed or not, but
he did not have the desire to fight me for our daughter and allowed and helped me to move 700 miles away. This also left me 700 miles away from any friends or family. I knew I had to get far away to stay gone from him, though. I would have went back if he was able to see me every day. The baggage there was he had multiple affairs, always telling me how he settled for me, but I was a good wife and mom, so he wanted to stay together. I worked very hard to prove I was worthy of his love. We had 6 kids altogether, several businesses that I helped run. I had a nonprofit from home, maintained a ranch and did all the lawn and outside work, maintained a large home, kept my own business running, and was the PTA mom. I was also always available, so she abbreviated available, which I've never seen abbreviated before. I was always available to be at his beck and call. I started my day with, "I love you, how can I help you today?" This was from love and desire to make my husband happy. He never made a plate of food in 15 years. I believe in traditional marriage very much, but was forced into the alpha female more often than not. He said he preferred me to always initiate sex because he is in charge all day at work and wanted to shut off afterwards. We would go months up to a year without sex because he would say it's a lack of drive and it's not me. He asked me to move out one day after he was caught in yet another affair. He finally told me all the terrible things he felt about me, and I did leave. I did some therapy and was able to be in a situation to own my home outright.
Love that.
Right. Be in no debt and keep a business going from there and be semi-retired, stay-at-home mom to our last child.
That's gangster.
I also keep a small ranch running by myself. That is dope.
Mm-hmm.
I love all of that. So when it comes to him telling her, "I want you to initiate," because he doesn't want to be in control, sounds like he's a sub.
Could be. Is that the end of the email?
No.
Oh.
I'm just pausing there.
Right. So they're divorced. She's moved on with her life.
Right. So she's in a new situation. That's just backstory.
Okay. There are some men that don't want to initiate.
Right.
It doesn't make them a sub. It just means that they want to feel that's the way that they feel affection is having their woman fawn over them and initiate sex.
Well, the reason I said that is because he said he is in charge all day at work.
Oh, yeah. And then I mean, in that scenario, yes, he very well could be a sub.
So me as a sub, because I make so many, they're not life decisions, but I have to make choices throughout the day, and my choices are going to affect other people in my life.
Right.
So the best way I can describe as why I want to be a sub is because I don't want to make choices anymore. So relinquishing that control and allow somebody else to make choices for me.
Right.
That's why I correlated him saying that to her wanting to initiate. Some people just want that.
Right. Do you also think that could be a decision fatigue?
It could be.
He just doesn't want to make decisions anymore.
It could be, definitely.
And I only say that in that because if I don't have to leave the house, I'll wear the same t-shirt and shorts until I think they're dirty.
Right.
And it could be 3 days. If I don't do anything but sit on the couch, I'm not changing my clothes.
Right.
Because I don't want to make a decision on what I have to wear.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's just one less thing I have to think about. So in that scenario,
it could definitely be decision fatigue.
Yeah.
And I am not saying, I am not condoning his cheating by any means in this. If he was unhappy with whatever sexual situations you guys were having going on and that was a make or break deal for him, he should have left.
Yeah, you guys should have had that conversation before it became that.
Right. What I'm about to explain is so she doesn't feel like she was the reason he was cheating.
Okay.
If he was having sexual needs that were not being met and he was not verbalizing them to you, or say you were trying to meet his sexual needs, but you weren't doing it in a way that was satisfying him and he did not tell you that, that's on him.
Yeah, I agree.
100%.
100%.
Even if you were trying to meet his sexual needs and you're trying new kinks or whatever he was wanting you to do, if you were falling short on that and he was not trying to guide you on how to do it properly, that's a him problem.
Right. Falls down to communication.
It really does. That could be why he was cheating, because his sexual needs weren't being met due to a lack of communication.
Right.
Not condoning it. That
Right.
could be a reason behind as to why.
Right. And there are also people who have those kinks or the need to be submissive like that are ashamed of it with the partner that they have because they don't want the person that they love to look down on them.
Right.
And that could be a thing too. There's a whole lot of psychological shit that plays into that scenario.
Definitely.
If that's actually what's going on.
Right. And that's all hypothetical.
Right.
But there could be someone out there relating to that situation.
Yep.
After the divorce, I dated a man that was everything my ex was not. He complimented me above and beyond, which I was striving for. Which I was starving for. He made me feel very sexy and desired. He respected my accomplishments, treated my daughter amazing, made me laugh, and was so affectionate. We both believe in traditional marriage, and he made me feel very safe and appreciated. About 5 months in, that all changed, and nothing I did was right. I talked too much, and he began talking down to me and treating me badly. Welcome covert narcissist number 2 into my life.
Because you can't be the problem.
You know,
I'm only saying that because now you've said that 2 people that you've dated are covert narcissists.
right. The chances of you dating 2 covert narcissists back to back
Right.
are choices you're making.
Right. Or you're doing something in the relationship and you're not realizing what's happening to make that change.
Right.
And I'm not blaming you. I'm not saying that this is your fault, but you need to take accountability.
Right. If everybody you date, you label as a covert narcissist, that's inaccurate. Unless you're actively making the choice to date covert narcissists. I did see this and got out.
Covert narcissist sounds like some cool label.
Right.
But knowing that narcissists are just selfish, self-centered people, to say they're covert, self-centered, covertly selfish, doesn't sound as cool, right? Doesn't sound as like labeling as like as possibly psychiatric necessary.
Right.
The buzzword just isn't there. And when you look at it that way and you use the word as defined, you lose that whole like cringeworthy thing. You're using a word that's just broadly saying something that it's not what it means. What are you doing?
I'm Googling the definition of covert narcissist.
Okay.
So covert narcissist describes a person who has narcissistic personality disorder, but does not display the grandiose sense of self-importance that psychologists associate with the condition. So a covert narcissism has traits of an overinflated sense of self-importance, lack of empathy, a need for excessive admiration, sense of entitlement, surrounding yourself with superficial relationships, taking advantage of others for personal gain, resistance to change, and focusing on fantasies or grandeur.
So self-centered selfishness.
Right. So covert narcissism. Would you have to have all of those traits to be considered a covert narcissist?
I mean, maybe everyone is a narcissist. Everyone on the planet is self-serving.
Right, but
you prove that by eating.
Right. The question I'm asking though is, I just read that whole list of things.
Right. I don't know enough about that in terms of clinical diagnosis.
Right.
To say if you need 3 of those, or with borderline, there's 13 questions.
Yeah.
Or it might be 30, it might be 10. I don't know. It's been a while since I took the test, but if you answer 6 or higher, you have borderline. Mm-hmm. So I'm assuming that not all of those are required to meet that title. It's probably a percentage.
Right. So the reason I'm asking that is because if you're with somebody who lacks empathy, but they don't have all of those other things, they're not a covert narcissist.
Right.
They just lack sympathy.
Right.
Or empathy. If say your relationship is not a good relationship, but all of their other relationships are great.
Right.
Just because your superficial relationship is bad does not mean that they're a covert narcissist, because all of their other relationships are fantastic.
Right.
So that was the point of me asking, do you have to have all of those things to be considered a covert narcissist?
Right. That makes sense. The idea that they were together for 5 months and there was no hint of narcissism at all.
Right.
And all of a sudden that things aren't going good and that's her default calling somebody something. Yeah. Come on. I don't know.
Right. I did see this and got out, but it made me feel like I would never find someone who was genuinely wanting me just how I was. He was actually a good thing for me at the time and showed me how to laugh and breathe again. How to not be a slave to my home or a spouse. It broke me, but it helped me too. On to my current situation. I've been seeing a great guy for about 8 months. He also has a young child he is raising on his own, but he does have family and friends for help and has gotten lots of therapy. I was very leery of our relationship at first and kind of kept him at arm's length. He never pushed me and understood that I have some trust issues. He is kind and caring. He also has a tainted past with a narcissist ex. Probably worse than me, really, or just at least different. We both were very much in line. We're very much in the show me part of our lives. Saying things is great, but show me. We can communicate pretty well. We are learning all the time. My problem is he is a very hard person to read. He is not expressive, and it is hard for him to express his feelings, and I feel like he gets the wrong message sometimes. He is not a romantic or gestures guy. I did express this in something I wanted and needed, and he said he would make more of an effort, and he has. He sends songs and TikToks or the occasional sweet text. I get insecure, though. I'm alone 99% of the time. He lives 2 hours away. We do see each other most weekends. I can get a bit down being alone with my 9-year-old all the time. I have a small ranch that keeps me busy most of the time, but I get beat down doing everything all the time. I recognize when this is happening and try to do some self-care and pick myself up. I try to dress up when I'm going to see him, and he says nothing, no compliments or that wow look.
All right, so let's pause there for a minute.
Okay.
You don't see this man all week and then you go see him on the weekend?
Yeah.
And you're getting dressed up every time you go see him? Mm-hmm. Have you gone in your like normal messy bun ranch clothing?
Right.
Does he have something to compare? You dressed and dolled up too? Mm-hmm. That's a genuine question.
That is a really good point, because when we first started dating, all you saw was my done up look. Mm-hmm. And that was it. And there were a couple of times, like if I changed my hair, you would compliment me, but I always had my makeup on. So you never commented on my makeup. Mm-hmm. After we moved in together and we started having that married life, you would see me dressed down, messy hair in the morning and sweatpants and a sports bra, whatever, walking around the house in my Crocs. Now you have something to compare my dolled up look to.
Right.
So now every time I do my makeup, you comment on my eyeshadow. Or if I do my hair in a different style, you comment on it because now it's new.
Right.
And you see what it looks like when I dress down. My thought went to like 7-Eleven look at 3 a.m.
Right.
But if he has nothing to compare it to, if you guys spend every weekend together and every weekend you're dolled up, it's just the same compliment
Right.
over and over and over again.
She also said that he's not somebody that goes above and beyond and is very extra about things, so he may never do that. That may just be who he is as a person.
Right. That was something that I had to learn because I'm a very boisterous, over animated, dramatic person. That's just how I am. You actually had to learn that about me because you thought I was putting on an act at first to try and just wow you or something.
Yeah, I did.
This is who I am. Does it feel good knowing that that's who I am and I wasn't playing it out?
Yeah, it does because it balances my bad times really well. So
And you're not that person.
at all.
I have noticed that you're starting to like push your comfort zone a little bit and be that goofy, obnoxious, loud person that I am because you notice in those moments, I really enjoy it. Like I am all about it when you're goofy, but I don't push it because I know that's not who you are as a person. And once I recognize that that's not who you are, those moments are more sweet to me.
Right. That makes sense.
Like those are moments that I really treasure. And I know looking back when I'm 80, those are going to be the moments where I'm like, damn, that man loved me because he did something he knew what I would enjoy, even though he hasn't done it for 40 years.
Right.
So you have to learn to appreciate for somebody for who they are. You have to learn their love language. If he is a very quiet man and doesn't compliment you all the time, but if you show up and he grabs you by the waist and gives you a kiss, that's him showing you affection in his own way.
Right.
It's important to recognize those things.
Mm-hmm. Not all communication is verbal.
Right. And people aren't going to love you the way that you love people.
Right.
That's an important thing to remember too. And if you recognize, if you crave attention in the way that you want to be complimented when he sees you, you need to tell him that. Say, I've been feeling like I get dolled up and you don't say anything. I feel insecure.
I'm going to hit you with something that just dawned on me.
What?
If you are that person
Yeah.
that always needs constant reassurance and validation and compliments, does that by definition make you a narcissist?
Ooh. That's a good question.
Mm-hmm. Because you're self-centered.
Right.
You need what you need, and people aren't fulfilling it, and you have a problem with that.
Damn. That's a good question, though.
It's a bullshit title.
It really is.
And it's been used 3 times in that email because apparently his ex was also a narcissist.
Right.
Because everyone on the planet has a level of narcissism.
Right. Now, to the extreme of narcissism can change.
Right. But that's clinically diagnosed. You know how many
Right.
people are actually clinically diagnosed as a narcissist?
Mm-hmm. You know, there's a dude I follow on TikTok who is a like bona fide narcissist. That's the only term I can think of. Clinically diagnosed. That's the correct terminology. Right. I said bona fide narcissist. He is a clinically diagnosed narcissist. He has all the paperwork. He's done the therapy. He recognized his narcissistic traits, and now he's talking about it on TikTok.
Right.
So he's like, this is true narcissism. This is what you look out for, and you know you're dealing with a true narcissist. You can't say he lacks empathy towards me in this situation. He's a narcissist.
Right.
That's not what it is.
Right. Because in some cases, people just don't give a shit about you.
Right.
I'm going to hit it one more time on the narcissist thing. I'm not going to bring it up again.
Okay.
On a scale of 1 to 10.
Everybody's at least a 1.
Right. So everyone on the planet is a narcissist.
Mm-hmm.
Narcissism in itself is a survival trait.
Yeah.
Google it.
I recognize when this is happening and try to do some self-care to pick myself up. Dolls herself up. He says nothing. What?
So you realize that he's not meeting the needs that you've set for yourself, and then you have to do self-care. That's actually narcissism. I'm sorry. I'm done. I won't do it again.
Okay. I've tried to plan dates so I can get a mental break, and he finds a reason we cannot go. In this case, I admit if you even show an ounce of not wanting to go, I'll regardless in my decision to put the effort in. In this case, I admit if you even show an ounce of not wanting to go, I'll regress in my decision to put effort in. Okay, I had to really reread that because that did not make sense to me. All right. I took him to lead. I look to him to lead, but in this he seems to not want to. He is very masculine in all other ways, makes me feel safe, allowing me to be in my feminine when we are together. But we need ways to get out of this mom and dad mode. We have a very healthy sex life, but I'm starting to feel like that's the only way he can show his affection and love. So that's not the only way he can show his affection and love. I had this realization with us, and now I'm going to say it on the podcast.
Oh, God.
When we are having our intimate time, that's when you're more inclined to tell me I'm beautiful or I look like a goddess or you're going to compliment my physical appearance. And that used to bother me until I realized in that moment, I have your undivided attention. And those are the moments where you are really looking at me and seeing me and recognizing my beauty. Because when we're not having that intimate, undivided attention to one another, you're worried about the business. You're looking at your phone, putting out fires. You're dealing with the podcast. You're editing. You have a million things going on in your mind. So in that moment where you are looking at me and really seeing me, I am your sole focus.
That is one hell of a fucking, like, light bulb.
Yeah. Like,
why can't I think of the word?
I am the only thing on your mind in that moment because that is the one thing you are focused on is me and the intimate time that we are having together. And you are really telling me I am beautiful because nothing else is on your mind distracting you from me. So if in those moments, that's the only time he's affectionate, it's because he doesn't have anything else on his mind but you in that moment and how amazing you are.
The word I was looking for was realization. But
yeah.
Yes, it came to me while you're talking. That's holy shit, babe.
Right? Because we've had that conversation where I've told you it bothers me that you
Right.
only tell me I'm beautiful during sex.
I don't, though.
You don't. In those moments, because like in those moments, it's been a few days since you've said it.
Mm.
So that's when I'm like, okay, like it kind of bothers me a little bit. But then I sat there, I'm like, why does it bother me? Because you do compliment me outside of sex. And I recognize it's because it was so far and few in between. But then I realize it's because I do truly have your undivided attention in that moment. We are making eye contact.
Right.
And it's just us. So in those moments when you recognize my beauty, it's because you're really recognizing like, damn, this is my woman and she is beautiful and we are having this intimate moment.
I'm going to be clipping that.
So it doesn't bother me anymore.
Wow.
So if those are the only moments where he's truly complimenting you and being intimate, I love the way you're looking at me right now. Because I feel like I'm understanding you better and I feel like you feel seen. Oh, man. Are you getting a little bit emotional? Mm-hmm. I love you. So I recommend sitting down and watching this with him. Well, not this. He might get a little bit offended.
Yeah.
But ask him, you know, I've noticed that you compliment me more when we're having sex. And then say, is it because I have your undivided attention? And if he answers yes, you're the only thing I'm thinking about in that moment, then ask him, so when you have other things going on in the day, I can't take it so personally that you haven't complimented me because you have so many other things on your focus or on your mind. I'm so flustered now because I love you. I can't think straight. I'm skipping that because now my mind's all boggled. Do you want me to keep reading?
Yep.
Okay. I feel so selfish asking for more, and I'm struggling to not feel like I'm nagging. We talk about the future, and I do see a great life, but I truly crave more than the bare minimum, and I'm scared I may not get that from him.
Oh, the fucking buzzwords.
Everything that I just said to you about you complimenting me while we're having sex is more than the bare minimum. That is you bearing your soul to me in that moment and really just connecting with me.
I feel like you just read a Facebook meme.
And she just said that that's the bare minimum.
Yeah. It's a buzzword. That whole email is full of buzzwords.
It really is.
You are using buzzwords to get your point across, and those buzzwords don't mean shit.
Right.
You think that your man who does everything for you other than compliment you is the bare minimum?
Yeah.
Sounds like narcissism.
It does, though.
I know it does.
It really does, though. Like, she wants to label all of these other people as narcissistic and not realize the way that you worded your email, you're coming across as a narcissist because this man is going above and beyond in every other field of providing for you, making you feel safe. But because he's not meeting your need for physical validation that you're attractive.
Me.
Now there's a problem.
And he's bare minimum.
And I'm not saying that to shit on you. I'm trying to help you realize the way that you're coming across. I'm not trying to shit on anybody. This is an outside perspective telling you how you are being perceived in reality.
Right.
I know I should not look to him for my confidence, but being in a relationship for so long, being told I was settled for and I was his potato, I could use a boost now and then.
Hold up. There's nothing wrong with potatoes.
You know how many ways you can make a potato and make, oh my God, potatoes are delicious.
Right. Like, if you're going to have a carb, it should be a potato.
Right. That's really the only carb besides bread I eat.
Would you be offended if I called you a potato?
No.
Okay.
Tell me I'm a twice baked potato done with all the dressings.
I don't think that I would actually use that term.
Right.
But like French fries come from potatoes.
Right.
And hash browns come from potatoes.
Right.
Like mashed potatoes.
Oh man, the red potato mashed potatoes.
I just don't.
Scallop potatoes.
So
Hasselback potatoes.
Did somebody actually call her a potato?
I don't know.
I am a potato.
I'm sorry that he called you that and that you have negative connotation to that word.
Yeah. You know what, though? It's not somebody else's responsibility to fix you. That's
It's
not how
not.
that works.
It's really not.
If you have problems, you fix your problems. You get people to support you while you work on you fixing your problems, but it's no one else's job to do that but your own.
Right. Have you said that to him, though? What you just typed in this email and said that you were with somebody who said that they settled for you and called you a potato. Does he know that? Does he know that you need that validation?
It's not his problem, though. I really, like, I understand.
Right.
If you came to me and said that somebody else said that shit to you, I would give you validation once. Be like, I'm not that person. I love you. I think you're gorgeous.
Right.
I would compliment you a few times and lift you up, but I'm not going to go out of my way
Every single
to
day.
be over extra just
Right.
because somebody else did some damage to you and you haven't worked through that shit yet. That's not a me problem. That's a you problem.
I agree with that. What I was trying to say is if you tell him that, you cannot expect him to do everything that you just said. You're correct. Yeah. But then you can say, every once in a while, I'm just going to come to you and say, I need some validation.
Right.
That's acceptable. I do that to you.
All the time.
There's
I need
times-
reassurance. You say shit all the time. But you saying I need reassurance is not you saying
Fix me.
I need you to take care of something that somebody else did that you're not responsible for.
Right.
My trauma in my past is my problem.
Mm-hmm.
You're not responsible for that. And in the event that I have a bad day where I think I look like shit or I'm feeling something from something that somebody else did, that's not your problem.
Right.
And I'm not going to take it out on you. I'm not going to hold you responsible for it because it's not fair to you. You didn't do that shit to me.
Right. There are even times, it's very rare, where you'll look at me and say, I need you to validate me right now. I need you to reassure me that you're attracted to me. And I do.
Right.
But it's not a set every single day. I need to wake up and go lose my damn mind about how hot you are to make you feel good for the day.
Right.
If you want a good morning beautiful from him, you can say that. Just say, it makes my day when you wake me up and tell me I'm beautiful.
Yeah.
Or when I wake up and we do our morning kiss, you tell me I'm beautiful. It puts me over the moon. It sets the tone for my day.
Yeah. Very different conversation.
That is a very different conversation. And he'll be more apt to do it because he knows he's setting the tone for your day to make it a good one. Mm-hmm. And that's going to make him feel like the man. That's different than saying, somebody broke me. I need you to tell me every day that I'm beautiful to fix me.
Right. Right.
That's not the way to do it.
Even in the scenario that you say that and they start telling you every day they're beautiful, you know that they're only doing that because you told them to.
Right.
So how is that going to fix you?
I'm not textbook pretty, but I'm not unfortunate. I keep trying to tell myself maybe this is a normal, healthy relationship. You know how they say the next healthy relationship can be boring? We don't really have any drama. Nothing is over the top in our relationship. We don't actually do much besides hang out with the kids and basic house stuff. He's not used to traveling or doing activities with his son. So what we can do is limited as to not overwhelm him. My daughter and I used to try new things a lot, even though we are homebodies also. You can still do that. You're a homebody.
I am.
You know, you do at times go out with the kids and I, like we went to the aquarium for my son's birthday. You made sure that you showed up as a step parent. And I appreciate that deeply. You know, you don't always go to the park with us and you don't go on walks with us. I'm okay with that because on the important days to me that are important, you make sure you're there.
Right.
And that means the world to me. And that's why I don't push, we're going to go to IHOP. You have to come with us because you're the step parent. Right. That's not how it works. If you and your daughter are used to going out and doing things, that doesn't have to stop because now you're in a relationship with somebody who doesn't.
Right.
You know,
and if the son wants to come or his kid wants to come, you can take him too.
Right.
You don't have to be attached to the hip with somebody. I understand wanting to spend your life with somebody and experience life with them.
Right.
That's normal behavior. Mm-hmm. But you also have to realize that what you want and what they want are not always going to mesh. Mm-hmm. I don't want to go outside when it's hot outside.
Right.
I don't.
I enjoy it.
Right. I don't.
Right.
So I'm going to stay inside where the air conditioner is set for. I want the AC.
And I'm going to go and lay out in the driveway and bask in the sun like a lizard. Yep. And then in an hour or so, we can meet up and you can tell me that I'm sunburned and we're going to have a good day. Yep. That's it.
Yep.
I feel like this person has an unrealistic expectation of what a healthy relationship is.
Yeah.
There are days where you and I don't really even talk to each other.
I can tell you by the way she worded the email that she has an unrealistic expectation of what a relationship is.
Right.
She's lived her life on social media and she believes that social media bullshit.
I'm going to keep reading this before I finish my point of the unrealistic.
Okay.
So my daughter and I are used to trying new things, even though we are homebodies. I love little adventures and fear that we may not be able to experience these things together. I know this is a little all over the place, but I have gained a lot from your content and value your opinion. I'd be glad to answer or clarify anything I can from this. I don't want to lose a great guy because my worried brain won't shut off, and I would like to be able to communicate some of this to him without triggering him also. Okay, so that makes me feel better about everything that I've said in this email, because you're recognizing that your brain is not turning off. You are going to sabotage your own relationship.
Yep.
And I'm telling you that from somebody who has sabotaged a relationship with this mindset. You need to learn how to control your anxiety and your worries. Who I am now from when you and I first started talking is a completely different person when it comes to my worries and my anxiety. There are times where I still do get myself worked up, but once you tell me that's nothing to worry about, that's a reality check for me. And I immediately come back off of that cliff of it's do or die with my anxiety.
This is going to sound really fucking stupid.
What?
And I'm going to say it anyways. It's not your job to worry about shit. It's my job.
Right. Ever since you've said that, you said that on a video a day or two ago, and I'm like, damn, he's right. Like, really, I have nothing to worry about in my life. My anxieties are the kids having a good childhood. Obviously, they are. I don't have to worry about rent. I don't have to worry about a mortgage. I don't have to make sure bills are paid on time. I don't have to worry about the heat being turned off. Like,
do you even know how much your car payment is?
No.
Do you know when it's due?
No.
Right. It's my job to worry about everything.
I roughly know how much money is being moved each month, but I don't know how much any specific amount is.
Right. And that's not for lack of access. You can open the bank account and really do the math if you wanted to.
I
or
could.
You could ask me and I would just tell you, but you don't have to worry about that shit. I got that. That's my job.
All of that is too overwhelming for me. If I knew the details, I would stress every single damn day and ask you, was this paid?
Yeah.
Did you make sure this to get paid? Well, this is due in 2 days. Do we have the money for that? I don't like being that person.
Right.
And I know if I sat down with you and actually did the finances, I would be on overload.
Yeah.
I do not remember why we started talking about that.
Because I asked you.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Asking me about numbers and whatnot.
Well, no, because you started talking about how you get, your anxiety and shit.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have a reason to stress. That's my
No.
job.
Yeah.
I don't want you worrying about shit.
And ever since we had that conversation, I am just coasting through life.
Yeah.
Like my depression has lessened because that was a massive reality check for me. Because my depression was kicking in because I was getting anxious and worrying about things. And I was in that cycle between the three of them. And when you said that, it was kind of like a gong. And I was present, like in the moment. I was like, damn, he's right. So your anxiety, anxious, worried brain is going to 100% kill your relationship because you're pushing away a really good man over the fact that he is not complimenting you the way that you need to satiate your broken needs.
Yep. Clipping that too. Fuck.
I've done that. Everything in my relationship was pretty okay. It's not what we are, but our relationship is dope. My relationship, if I would not be where I was today, if I wasn't how I was thought pattern wise, I would still be in that very mundane. It wasn't tumultuous, but it wasn't a good relationship. But I would still be in that relationship, maybe, if I didn't push them away because I needed to feel like my self-esteem was being bettered by them. He also gives me so much peace when we are together. I feel very safe with him and I know he values me. But how can I express in a healthier way that I need the outward things also? I need all of the love languages.
That's a you problem.
That is a you problem.
And how is anything that you just read bare minimum?
It's really not. This man's your
Everything
peace.
that she just listed out there.
Yeah.
And it's bare minimum.
You know, when it comes to a healthy relationship, like I said, there are days where you and I will barely talk to each other. We'll have like our cute little intimate moments where we still acknowledge each other and we'll kiss each other on the neck and we'll play and have fun, but we don't have sit down in-depth conversations, and we're not out seeing the Eiffel Tower and going scuba diving.
Right.
There are times where you're sitting at the computer for 6 hours editing and I'm cleaning the house for 8 hours.
Right. It's called being an adult.
Right. It's, we'll have like passing moments. We're both super busy all the time.
Right.
So it's like we're having passing moments in the hallway, and then at 7 or 8 o'clock at night, we cuddle on the couch.
Right. But all of those passing moments that we have throughout the day matter.
Yeah.
They're like to hold me overs until we can cuddle on the couch at 8 o'clock at night. And all the shit that we do, and the cleaning of the house and the editing and the podcast and the business and work and all that shit that we do makes the Friday photography sessions that much better.
Oh, yeah.
It makes that 2-hour drives to Naples where we have unfettered access to each other and the phones are tucked between our thighs and we're not talking to anyone other than each other. The
And
fucking
we're
radio's
touching.
off and we're touching and like we're experiencing life. That is so much sweeter because we don't have that every day.
Right.
We are doing the things that we're doing to set ourselves up so that we can do those things every single day and not have to worry about anything else. It's just life shit.
It is. So with how she said that, like, you're used to chaos.
Constantly.
A healthy relationship is not going to have chaos. There's going to be no drama. There's going to be peace. There's going to be a lot of days of quiet. There's going to be days where you guys just have regular, mundane conversations and you go to bed. That's a healthy relationship. This is the relationship that you were dreaming about when you were with those people that you claim to be narcissists.
Yeah.
You're going to throw this relationship away because it's too mundane for you, because you're used to the chaos of being with the people that you claim to be narcissists.
I get that. We're going to get a really shitty reply to this.
What, from her?
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh.
she's going to hear this podcast and be super butthurt. We're going to get a nasty email response.
Okay, so even if we do get a nasty email response, I stand by everything that I said.
So do I.
You said that you're gaining content from us. You're gaining value. This is who we are. We don't sugarcoat things. If you expected us to sugarcoat our opinions for your email to accommodate your feelings, you were mistaken.
Yep. I think it's important that people realize that we're not taking sides in these emails. If I see something, I'm going to call it.
Right. The boyfriend that you were with, these emails are bleeding together. This is not the email where she said she's not allowed to have friends.
That was the last one.
That was the last one. Okay, let me go back so I'm not incorrect when I say this.
It was the last one because it was the one where they went to the cabin.
Right. So he had multiple affairs, all of these things, but there really is no behavior that comes to me as a red flag outside of the fact that he was having affairs from the first one. You got divorced. Like I said, there was really no example of how this guy was a bad dude. It just seems like you guys weren't good for each other based on the email. Second one, after 5 months, it seemed like you could do nothing right. You're talking too much. He began taking you down and treating you badly. But there was no example of how he was treating you poorly.
Right. Or what you were saying to him.
So there is a very strong possibility. For example, say you have childhood trauma. You could be holding on to this trauma and damaging really good men because you think that any time that you guys have a disagreement or there's conflict, he's abusive.
Right.
So there's a very real possibility, because you didn't divulge how they're treating you badly. This is all assumptions. They could have been absolute pieces of shit, like locking you in bedrooms.
Right, they could be.
I don't know that. So this is just purely hypothetical. These could have been really good dudes who are trying to put their best foot forward, also trying to heal from things in their past. And because they were going through things or not meeting your expectations, like complimenting you and making you feel like you're gorgeous, all of a sudden they're narcissists because they're not empathetic to the fact that you need constant validation.
Right. On first dates, when I was dating or when I did date, and people should do this on first dates, listen to how the person that you're talking to talks about their ex.
Oh, 100%.
Because if all you're doing is calling everyone names and they're the problem, they're the problem, they're the problem.
That's a red flag.
Yeah, you're a fucking problem.
Massive red flag.
Right.
So,
New Patreon.
New patron.
Patron?
Patron? Patreon.
New Patreon subscriber that is a patron.
I just want to call them my cult members. I really want to change the negative connotation on the word cult.
Okay, wait a minute. Wait. I just had a whole thing.
Okay.
So a butt is a peach when emojis are had, right?
Right.
And you are peaches.
I am.
So if you have a cult, does that mean they worship your booty? Because if so, I'll sign up.
You're the only person I feel comfortable worshiping my booty.
So then I get to be your follower? I get to worship the booty?
You can worship the booty.
Yeah.
I love how genuinely you happy. To 5 times the fuck, how genuinely happy you are. You were smiling really big at me, and it's because of me, and my mind just...
Yeah, and the booty.
Oh my God. You have a really nice smile.
You have a juicy peach.
I do.
We went from YouTube friendly to not YouTube friendly real quick. Can't do that. Is that the end of that email?
That's the end of that email.
I need to void my bladder because First Form energy drinks run right through me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do that while you look for another email. We are an hour and 20 minutes in. And it's only 4:30. So.
I also have to use the restroom and I'm getting hungry.
Okay, so then...
So getting into the email. I hope my name is never said on air because I know my husband wouldn't be happy about me seeking any type of relationship advice, especially from someone I saw on TikTok because he hates any type of social media. That sentence scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, that's not healthy. Could you imagine somebody going, hey, no matter what you do, don't better yourself. Don't do anything to try to be better.
Well, I mean, yes, I could never imagine that. But my thought process went to, he doesn't want you to seek relationship advice. What's going on in your relationship where he's like, I don't want them to know about that.
Yeah.
That makes me uncomfortable. I think I heard you touching on my situation from my first email on a TikTok video, and I've tried to find the full video and can't. But I figured maybe I should add some things to my situation for more clarity. So since this is a part 2, do you still want to read it or?
I mean, it could be a part 2.
Okay. I definitely know the intimacy part needs work. It's not for a lack of my trying though. My husband doesn't seem responsive to my efforts. So let me ask you a question. Okay, he said he doesn't want to have sex anymore unless I initiate it. So let me ask, if he only wants you to initiate and he is not responsive to your efforts, men are inherently more sexual creatures than females.
Right.
Right? Than women. There are certain circumstances due to medical or whatever covering the bases, so it's not in the comments. Inherently, men are more sexual than women. If he is no longer responsive to your efforts, why? If he was super sexual in the beginning of the relationship, something must have changed for him to go, I'm not even going to respond to her efforts of wanting me.
And there could be a whole slew of things in that. Holy shit, that list could be long.
Oh yeah, it could, definitely. But it's worth taking a step back and saying, okay, when did this start happening? When did I notice a change? What happened in that time frame? It could have been 2 weeks prior. It could have been a month prior. Think of any massive circumstance where you think that could have changed the course of where your relations went. I do that a lot.
Or ask him.
Yeah, you could ask him. He might lie.
He might.
But
you could
it's
be
worth asking
Be like,
him.
hey, I noticed that it used to be this, and now it's not. Something obviously changed. And if it was me, I need you to tell me so that I can try to resolve the problem. And if it's not me, and this is just who you are now, I need to know that too, so that I can figure out how to act accordingly.
And if it is you, you can't get defensive when he tells you that.
Right.
Because you asked.
Yeah. Yep. There's no age there.
No age.
Anytime any of you send me, anytime any of you send us an email and you are telling me that your man is not having sexual urges or is not engaging with you on a sexual level, the very first thing I'm going to tell you to do is check your hormones.
Right.
For his hormones. He needs to check his hormones. Because that is a huge, huge indicator of low testosterone. Second thing I think immediately is, how are you treating your man?
Yeah, that's where my thought process went.
If he views you as a mother, he's not going to be trying to have sex with you.
Yeah.
If you're nagging, complaining, constantly disrespecting him, telling him what to do all the time, not just what to do, but how to do it, and the control factor comes in, you should not be doing that to your partner. You two should be living a life of respect for one another. If I need you to do something, I'm just going to gently ask you to do it.
And I've never told you no.
I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm not trying to make you feel any type of way about something that's happened. I made that post on Patreon and my shit's going nuts.
Made what post on Patreon?
About us going live at 8.
Oh.
In the event that you started trying to dictate my life, what I can do, who I can hang out with, who I can talk to, what I need to do around the house.
What time I have to be home.
All that bullshit. you better believe my sexual energy is going to change towards you.
Right.
I don't want that. I like this man. I want to be fawned over. I want to be respected. I want initiation. And if, excuse me, if that means that you have to stop me from what I'm doing and kiss me while I'm editing or try to grab the boys or something, you're still letting me know that I'm fawned over. Even if I stopped you, even if every time you tried to grab my man and I stopped you, I know you're trying.
Right.
And we can make a game out of it, or I can let it happen, or whatever the case may be. But I know that you still want me.
Right.
And that's going to make me, in turn, want you. And then we're going to have sexual frustration all day long until we get the opportunity to lay down at night and have our playtime because we've been fucking with each other all day.
Right.
Not only is that healthy, it's fun.
Right. And initiating it doesn't have to be a physical initiation or a verbal initiation. This morning, while I was cleaning the bedroom, I laid out some stuff for us to have playtime later.
And I walked in the room, and the only thing I'm going to say is that I saw restraints on the bed.
Yeah.
And I knew exactly I know what's happening tonight. I know what's going down.
I didn't say anything to you.
Didn't have to.
Yeah. You walked into the room and you knew my intention. And now you have something to think about all day long. And you know it's me.
Yep.
Who started that thought process for you.
And I came right out here, grabbed you aggressively and kissed you and be like, this is how it's going to go down, huh? And you're like, oh, yeah. I'm like, all right,
yeah.
Game on.
It was a game of chess, and I knew exactly what your next move was going to be. I planned that out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I thought he's going to walk back there. He's going to see that, and he's going to think it's game on.
I chuckled.
Yeah.
I saw that. I'm like, oh, man.
So initiating sex doesn't have to be physical.
Right.
It can be a seed planted that they get to think about all day long and then come home and act on.
Yeah.
It, like you said, it can be a game.
Intimacy is so much more than just sex.
It is.
And if you don't have the other aspects of intimacy, the sex isn't going to be there. And that applies to men too. If men aren't feeling wanted and desired in their relationship, they're not going to fawn over you.
Right. They're not going to reciprocate what you want to have
They're
done.
not. They're not. It's just the way it is. Just like women go, I'm overworked and tired. Why would I want to let him use my body? Same thing goes for men. We have our moments where if we don't feel like we matter, aren't respected, aren't desired, we're going to do the same shit.
Right.
And then you end up in a roommate phase. And whose fault is that? Both of y'all's. Because you're looking at it from a me standpoint instead of an us standpoint.
You know, there are women who complain, I cook and I clean all day. Why would I want to have sex when he gets home? Because you feel like you're being used. Why would a man who has no emotional affection, no emotional stability in a relationship want to feel like he's only being used for a dick?
Right. Yeah. I mean, if that's the way your relationship is being used, you're using each other for masturbation.
Right.
And at that point, there's no emotional ties there. And your relationship as a whole is suffering because of it.
If he feels like he's only a paycheck to you, why would he want to be intimate with you?
Yeah.
You know, women want to complain about having their emotional needs not met and they feel like they're being used purely as a sex object. Men feel like that constantly and it is never talked about.
Well, being that men don't have a real say.
Right.
And when things like that happen, of course, that's how they feel. And yet there are a lot of men out there who are just grateful to be able to get in some play from their wife.
Right.
because it's been 6 months and she's feeling nice.
Yep.
Or she wants a new car.
I was getting ready to say it's been 3 months.
Yeah.
Or he knows if he does X, Y, and Z, he gets sex as a reward.
Right.
I feel like
it's an anniversary or birthday because you're obligated at that point.
Ew.
Yeah.
When I say women use sex as a reward, it makes me feel like I'm speaking about a dog. Because when a dog does the command you want it to, you give it as a treat, as a reward to know that's good behavior.
Yep.
If you do that good behavior, you're going to get a treat as reward. So if a man is on his good behavior and behaves the way you want him to behave, the reward for him is sex. You are training your man to be a version of a man you want him to be, even though that's suppressing who he is as a person.
Right. And men who allow that are fucking weak and pathetic. Is that the end of that?
No, that was the first paragraph.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's definitely out of my comfort zone, but I want him to be happy and I want to be close to him. So I will do that, but when I try, he will just sit staring at the TV, purposely ignoring my efforts. Or he will roll away.
You did something to that man.
Yeah, I was about to say. Or he will roll away from me and act like he's sleeping. So I feel like he said he wants you to initiate more as a band-aid to make you feel better about the situation, when in reality, he just doesn't want it from you at all.
I mean, it could be. There's definitely some trauma there.
Yeah.
Old boy is feeling something.
When I do accomplish getting him to participate, he just wants to be there and not put any effort in on his end. Sometimes I feel like I have the typical husband complaints of his wife, but I'm the wife here. Oh, I feel like I have the typical husband complaints of his wife. So she's having what a man complains when it comes to not having sex with his wife. That's what she means. I've completely changed myself to be what my husband wants, to the point where I don't feel like he does, to where I feel like he doesn't even know me. And then I bring up something I like or dislike, and he gets angry because I feel like I hide things from him.
That's a problem.
Well, in a sense, you did hide things from him because you changed who you are to accommodate him. So when you do bring up something that seems out of character because you've built this character to appease him, he is going to be like, out of left field, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. Wonder how long they've been married.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I have this version of you in my mind. Like, I know who you are as a person because you've presented to me, this is who you are. Mm. And if you said something completely out of the blue that is out of character for you as my husband, I am going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
And if that's how you truly feel and you felt like that this whole time, I'm going to be like, you've lied to me. My image of you has completely shattered because now this is you're telling me this is who you really are, but this is who I've known you as for 5 years.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. You know your partner.
Right.
And when things start changing, that you are absolutely going to notice it and question it.
Yeah. Something as simple as I don't like chocolate will set him off. Well, have you built yourself up to love chocolate? I can't foresee any situation where, in any relationship with anybody, where someone says, I don't like chocolate, and they're like, are you fucking delusional? What do you mean? I'm legit angry that you don't like chocolate. I cannot ever foresee a situation like that.
Right.
So
I can see somebody being extra.
Right.
What? You don't like chocolate? That's the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
No different than me going, what? You haven't seen Boondock Saints? What the fuck is wrong? You know, yeah.
That's a legit situation.
Right, it is.
Constantly.
But it's always extra just because, like, I'm trying to be funny. Like,
right.
I don't really give a shit that you haven't seen a movie.
But
I want you to
fun
watch
for
it now.
me.
We're going to add it to the list. Right, it is. It's a game.
When you do that, it's fun for me because I know you're genuinely interested in expanding my universe into something.
Right.
Like, that's dope. That's fun for me. So something as simple as I don't like chocolate. Well, if you've, for the last 5 years, have been over the top about how much you enjoy chocolate, and he's buying you chocolate thinking it's making you happy.
Right.
And he has spent thousands on dollars of chocolate. And then all of a sudden you don't like chocolate.
It's a lot of chocolate.
It is. But like Valentine's Day, birthdays, Christmas, like if you have made it a point that you like chocolate, and he is now, anytime there's an event, he is going a little extra above and beyond buying chocolate because there's alcohol infused chocolate. There's chocolate sets for hundreds of dollars. Like, and all of a sudden you don't like chocolate. I'm gonna be like, bitch, what? Valentine's Day is in 2 days and I have $300 worth of chocolate in my car. What do you mean you don't like chocolate? I can get that situation of being set off a little bit. Right. That's a situation where I can be like, okay, I would be kind of angry. Right. But outside of that, that just sounds irrational. And you might be with an irrational person.
I'm willing to bet that I'm not the only one listening that went, who the fuck keeps $300 of chocolate in their car? That's going to be melted. You got a big block of chocolate.
Like he just got home from shopping.
You know how hard it's going to be to get the wrapper off that chocolate?
Okay, I have $300 worth of chocolate sitting in the closet for Valentine's Day.
I am such a fat ass. That is right where my mind went. I'm like, damn, eating that chocolate's going to suck.
You know, speaking of all this chocolate, I know it's past Valentine's Day, but I'm kind of hoping they have discounted chocolate at Walmart or something because I want specialty chocolate.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I love specialty chocolate. In case you didn't know that about me, if this was really a situation where they got into an argument over her not liking chocolate, I am so sorry, but you really just triggered this in my mind. I love specialty chocolate. So if for my birthday you don't know what to get me and you buy me an array, it could be a $5 box of arrayed chocolate and I will lose my damn mind.
Can I get it anywhere else other than Walmart?
Yes.
Okay.
You can get it from 7-Eleven. I don't care. If there's a box of chocolates with different fillings, I'm going to lose my mind. Right. It's one of my favorite things.
You know how I feel about Walmart.
I know. You can order it online.
Nope, that makes it real easy.
You don't even have to look at the labels and the flavorings. If there's 10 different flavors of chocolate, I'll eat it.
Okay.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be a specific brand or anything.
Babe, I get it. You want chocolate.
Yeah.
I will make it happen at some point before we go to bed tonight.
I wasn't even looking for it today. I'm just thinking.
Well, it won't be here today if I got to order it online. It's got to be shipped. And hopefully they send it in a cool truck because otherwise you're going to get melted nasty chocolate.
That wasn't my goal. I just wanted to make it known that it doesn't even have to be $300 worth of chocolate. You can spend $10 on this chocolate and I will be ecstatic. Okay.
Got it.
I have some mental health issues, but he doesn't believe in medication or therapy or anything like that and tells me I'm just selfish for wanting to seek treatment for myself.
That's a fucking problem.
That is a fucking problem. He says I have a good life and have no reason to be anxious or depressed, and it's all just selfishness. At one point, I was really fantasizing about suicide and finally opened up to him, and he just got angry with me. I have no support system outside of him, and he's not very supportive either, because he doesn't understand why I feel the way I do, but doesn't want me to seek treatment because he says through medication I can just heal my brain. But I have 7 kids with no help, and I barely have time to shower, much less meditate.
Ooh, 7 kids.
That is a lot of kids. He doesn't help with the kids. He wants me to just smoke weed, but I don't like weed, and I don't like the way it makes me feel because I get very paranoid. And he thinks I just need to fight through those feelings because weed can fix me. He tells me, okay, I was formulating a thought that I was going to say, but then I read the next sentence and I was like, this is absolutely ridiculous. Why are you with this person? He tells me that when he was younger, he always knew his dream girl would be a stoner girl, and that's just not me.
Yeah, we'll find somebody else.
His qualification for his dream girl is that he smokes weed, that she smokes weed. If that is his one attribute to a dream girl, run. Where is the ambition?
It'll be real hard to run carrying 7 kids. Sorry.
I mean, you're right.
All I can hear in my head is dun 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 dun.
Yeah. If that's something he said during the dating phase, that's a red flag. You don't ignore that. I only have one friend, but I still feel very isolated.
Well, if you only have one friend, that is a very pertinent step to being isolated.
I try so hard to make him feel loved and appreciated, but my efforts are just shot down because it's what I should be doing. He doesn't like the lunches I pack, but our options are limited because he works construction. I've tried many different types of sandwiches, wraps, and salads. He doesn't like any of that because it's cold.
So get an electric lunchbox.
I got him a thermos to carry hot food, which I wake up early to prepare for him, and then he doesn't eat it.
What a dick.
I showed him the battery-operated lunchboxes that would warm his food, and he says he doesn't have time for that. You literally set a timer. Yeah. You go and work, and then you come back to lunch, and it's ready.
Yeah. That's exactly how that works. Mm-hmm. And as somebody who's done the blue-collar job thing, especially in Florida, when you leave in the morning, you throw your lunch on the dash of your car.
Right.
And by the time you get ready to eat your lunch, it's hot as fuck.
Oh, yeah. It gets like 110 degrees inside of a car.
And it just sits there getting nice and toasty.
You bake cookies inside of a car in Florida. Like, this man sounds like a crappy man.
It does. Yes, he does.
I wouldn't put up with that. So I feel like I try really hard to make his life easier, but he shoots down every idea until there's no other options. And then he's like, see, you don't love me. You don't do shit for me.
He's a manipulator.
He is a manipulator. That is, that's a lot. And your kids are watching you being treated this way. We've been in positions where his family or friends have been over and complimented something I cook, or told my husband he's lucky because I do my best to take very good care of him. His brother's words were, wow, you get to eat like this every day. You're lucky.
Should be banging the brother. I'm just kidding. Sorry. I
mean, the brother would definitely treat you nicer.
Right. I was going to really delve into that, and then it came out of my mouth, and I'm like, I should probably not do that.
I mean, not bang the brother, but maybe date him. Like, leave this guy and date his brother. I would hurt feelings.
I was really going to try to be funny, but the more I think about it, it's very vicious.
Yeah.
And we need to move on.
Okay.
Because I can be a real fuckface.
Okay. And my husband replied, this is dog food.
Whoa.
Talking about the meat I made. But then later, he tells me he was actually upset with his brother for being too envious of what he has, so he had to say that.
No, bullshit. Bullshit.
If we were at a dinner and your brother looked at you and said, "Damn, bro, like this is how you live your life? Like you're lucky."
I'd be like, "Yep." I would play it up.
Right, you'd be like, "Damn right, that's my wife." Babe.
Yeah.
Guess what my brother just said to me? Like you would play it up.
Oh, you're fucking right, I would.
I bet you would look at your parents and be like, "You hear what he just said to me?" I landed a good one, didn't I? You love your daughter-in-law, don't you? Like you play that up. You hype your woman up. You don't put her down.
No. Sounds like he's trying to break her.
I told him it was hurtful, and then he got upset with me because now he thinks I need outside compliments from people to feel validated. No. He's now wanting sympathy because even though he hurt your feelings, you're upset with him, and now he's the victim.
That's pure manipulation tactic.
That's a narcissist.
Yeah.
That's something narcissists do.
That's a problem.
I learned that from the actual narcissist on TikTok who talks about things narcissists do, so you can really look out for what it is to be with a narcissist.
Yeah.
That is something true narcissists do. They will do something to hurt you, and then when you get upset at them, now they're the victim because you're upset with them. Forget that I hurt you. I'm the victim because my actions made you upset with me, and now my feelings are hurt because you're upset.
Right.
That's not it at all. He's constantly shooting down my ideas to make us better, my ideas to better parent our children. Calls everything bullshit, but won't give any of his own ideas. So I'm still just stuck here in this cycle of feeling like I am not doing enough for him or my family. My appearance has gone downhill, partly due to stress and partly because if I randomly get dressed up, do my hair or something, he comes home like, "Well, where did you go? Why are you done up? Who is it for?" I've gained some weight after having 7 kids. Who hasn't? I want to join a gym, but I'm not allowed to because he says women who go to the gym only do so to be seen. He says all the exercise a woman needs is walking around the yard.
I would leave him. This is one of those times that I'm not giving you any advice. I am telling you that I would leave him.
I would leave him, definitely. As a woman who works out, I work out because I enjoy how I look when I look toned. I enjoy how it feels when I'm on my 8th rep of my set, and I know I can get to 10, but it's heavier weight.
Right.
So when I get to 10, I'm like, yeah, I am that bitch. I just upped my weight and I finished a set.
Yeah. Dopamine response.
Right.
Physical health correlating with mental health. That I would not stay in that scenario. Everything that she just listed out is controlling, manipulative behavior. Mm-hmm. That is not a safe environment. You are never going to find happiness. You will always be the problem because that's the way he views you.
So I'm not even going to finish reading the email.
Yeah.
I'm going to read the last sentence, and it says, "When do you just call it quits or stop putting in so much effort? Do you? Do I keep going with what I'm doing? I'm drained."
Yeah, no, you leave.
You leave.
That scenario with the brother would probably have been the last straw for me.
Yeah.
If I was a woman and I was cooking dinner and I made dinner for everyone and somebody complimented it and my partner shit on my meal in front of everyone, I would probably have left at that point.
Yeah. I would have definitely left at that point.
Because that would have destroyed my confidence as a person.
Right.
Like here I am cooking for 7 kids every day, making your meal every day, and you're not eating my food because you think I can't cook. And if I can't cook, maybe I need cooking lessons, but you tell me that privately. You don't fucking shit on me in front of everyone. Mm-hmm. You're supposed to have your partner's back, ride or die, no matter what.
Yeah. He
should have been like, yeah, bro, I have it made. She takes my boots off. Like, I got the best partner in the world. Like, he really should have just had her feeling like she's on cloud 9. I don't know, man. There's a whole lot of manipulation there. I'm not comfortable with that. That whole email makes my fucking skin crawl.
Yeah. So I agree. Leave. That's not, there's no remedying that. He sees nothing wrong with his actions. He thinks if he apologizes, that fixes it.
Right.
He doesn't want to change his actions. He doesn't care about how you feel. If you're upset with him, well, he's the victim because you're not allowed to be upset with me. I have mental illnesses. I'm not saying he claims that, but majority of the time when people do a really bad thing and then later want to cry about that bad thing because it hurt you, but now they're the victim because they can't control the fact that they did that bad thing because of their trauma.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
So that's the end of that.
It's 2 hours.
All right.
I want to call it. I'm done. That last email kind of bothered me, and I'm not in the headspace for another one. So
okay.
It is 5:00. I train at 6. Live stream at 8. So let's figure out dinner. We'll catch you guys on the next one.
Bye, guys.
For those of you who enjoy our content and would like to support us and help grow the channel, the easiest way to do that is a super chat here on YouTube. For those of you who really, really like the content and would like to see more of it, check out our Patreon group. It gets exclusive content that will never be seen here on YouTube, early release stuff for those of you who are just as impatient as I am, as well as live streams with a live chat every Friday night. If you can't afford to do either one of those or you're just not into that, the next best thing that you can do is share this with people who you feel may vibe with it. No matter how you decide to support us, it's super dope and we thank you.